Salute, 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 ATP. It's your boy Clay More Rain. Back at you guys with another one. All right, all right, all right. Teofimo Lopez, public enemy number one. Man, listen, what a past 2 to 3 years has been for Teofimo Lopez, right? Teofimo Lopez, a fighter who gets most of his recognitions and accolades for defeating Vasily Lomachenko to become a arguable undisputed champion. And I say that because people have their different opinions on that as to whether or not he was undisputed at 135 pounds, or wasn't he? When you think about the fact that the whole entire move with Vasily Lomachenko vacating a WBC belt, or Mauricio Suleiman making this special WBC title that allowed Devin Haney to be some sort of a regular WBC champion in the division, and ultimately kept him, I guess, somewhat a unified champion, including that WBC title, and Teofimo beating Vasily Lomachenko, holding one of those belts. Looks like it might have put him as undisputed, right? Whatever it is that you want to look at it as, that seemed to be the highlight of Teofimo's career. Ever since that situation with Vasily Lomachenko, his trajectory's been up and down. Obviously, suffering that defeat from George Kambosos, where he lost his titles, and ultimately, this is the way Devin Haney was able to find his way in a situation where he was able to fight against George Kambosos, beat him the first time, became undisputed, and defended his title the second time. That being said, ever since then, Teofimo Lopez has had moments of disenchantment with the sport, claiming favoritism with Bob Arum and Top Rank, and as far as the way he dealt with other fighters, and performances were just pedestrian at times, right? As of late, it seems Teofimo Lopez has grabbed onto a new antic or a new way of marketing strategy. He would tell you, if you ask him, on how he would get in front of some of the best fighters in the space. And in all honesty, falling on deaf ears when it comes to making a fight, but falling on the ears of a lot of fans and a lot of pundits in the space as far as being cringeworthy antics, focused around racism and, calling people monkeys, and, you know, asking him to come and get the banana, and then his latest antic with Terrence Crawford, calling him, well, I guess he was asking for where's the liquor, where's that liquor. I think most people heard it differently, right? That being said, it was going nowhere, and most people were just looking at Teofimo kind of crazy towards the end of this campaign he's been on, because it's never manifested into anything. But look, hindsight is 2020, and right now, as crazy as it might sound, did Teofimo Lopez's antics put him in position to be one of the most sought after fighters to fight right now? Or is this just an alignment of just situations, right, that just manifested into a situation that Teofimo Lopez can capitalize off of? Now, keep in mind, as of late, the WBO did put out some information. His last bit of antics did garner enough attention to where the WBO, the sanctioning body holding that the title he holds under the WBO, did state that they were going to look at what he did with Terrence Crawford and pretty much let it be known that this wasn't going to be tolerated too much longer, and he was actually at risk of losing his title. But what's also happened is Teofimo Lopez has gotten into agreement with a 3-fight deal with Turki Alalshikh. Turki Alalshikh having plans for Teofimo Lopez to potentially fight in the likes of a Jaron Boots Ennis on the back end of a victory with Arnold Barbosa. Now, Teofimo Lopez still a lineal champion, still a WBO champion at 140 pounds. And the options that it looks like he did have, he's never really been interested in, always looking to challenge himself, I guess, right? Looking for the biggest challenges he can get in front of, one of them being Jaron Boots Ennis and the other one being Terrence Crawford. We've watched this turn into a big nothing burger as far as watching him consistently pushing for these fights and nothing actually coming out of it. Well, Turki Alalshikh says, listen, go ahead and beat Arnold Barbosa, defend your title, and I'm going to be looking forward to making 2 more fights for you. One of them being against Jaron Boots Ennis at 147 pounds, and the other one would have been the winner of a rematch between Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney. Now, you guys saw the Fatal Fury. We know how that ended up turning out. We know that Devin Haney had a very lackluster performance, and Ryan Garcia ultimately took another loss against Rolly Romero. So things have changed a little bit, maybe, but not really, right? Turki Alalshikh still looking to move forward with the Ryan Garcia Devin Haney fight, supposedly, right? But also looking forward to put that fight together between Teofimo and Jaron Boots Ennis. Now, there's a wild card here because Jaron Boots Ennis has shown resistance to moving along with Turki Alalshikh's plan, being that he has his own ideas and his own ambition to do things for his own career, namely unifying and ultimately becoming undisputed in the 147-pound weight class division, or the welterweight division, as most of you may know it as. But where are we right now? Jaron Boots Ennis, once again, and if you guys look back and we dial back just a little bit of time, you'll remember that Turki Alalshikh was looking to put Jaron Boots Ennis in front of Virgil Ortiz, a fight that he damn near pretty much announced across the space, just to come to find out that Jaron Boots Ennis was not interested in moving up to 154 just yet, being that opportunities opened up for Jaron Boots Ennis to unify at 147 pounds. He pulled out of that situation, or at least turned away that opportunity to become a unified, now lineal champion in the welterweight division. So right now, it seems like we're back to the same situation with Jaron Boots Ennis, where he has choices to make. Turki Alalshikh clearly showing interest in Jaron Boots Ennis and wanting to pay him a king's ransom to go ahead and get into a super fight with the likes of a Teofimo Lopez. But Jaron Boots Ennis, with his own goals for his own career, looking to also continue to become a more unified and ultimately an undisputed champion in the division. And now with Brian Norman Jr., who's getting ready to make a move in a couple of weeks to go ahead and defend his WBO title against the likes of a Jin Sasaki in Japan, this would grow his market value, grow his brand, and make that fight between him and Jaron Boots Ennis a huge unification fight with 3 belts on the line and a lineal championship on the line. This is right up Jaron Boots Ennis's lane, right? This is what Jaron Boots Ennis wants. But there is a conflict of interest here for Teofimo Lopez, who now finds himself in a situation to where he's this close to making a fight that he wants to make, but at the end of the day, with Jaron Boots Ennis having other things that he could be accomplishing, what choice will Jaron Boots Ennis make? Now, some people will give you arguments on either side for Jaron Boots Ennis, who's got so many opportunities in front of him, from 154 pounds to what's now available to him in the 147-pound division. Now, is it realistic that Jaron Boots Ennis may push this far enough to where he becomes an undisputed champion in the welterweight division? Well, I think the X factor, a wild card in that division right now, is Mario Barrios, somebody who always seems to find himself in some other kind of fights or just out of the way and doesn't ever really seem to be available to go ahead and unify with the other champions in the division. Now that Jaron Boots Ennis holds 2 of those titles, the 2 other fights that would be there for him, as far as Mario Barrios is concerned, would either be with Teofimo Lopez to collect that WBO title, or with the likes of a Brian Norman Jr. to collect that WBO title. Either way, it's interesting watching how this has turned out, because now Turki Alalshikh has another player in the game he's interested in putting in front of Teofimo. Now, this particular fight is a fight that the boxing space has been looking to see happen ever since 135 pounds. And yes, guys, none other than Devin the Dream Haney. Devin the Dream Haney coming off a lackluster performance, but still a dominating performance over Jose Ramirez in this recent Fatal Fury fight, now looking for a dance partner. Rumors going around that Turki Alalshikh still wants to push that fight between Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia, but if you listen to Oscar De La Hoya speak on it, they have no interest in making that fight, being that they're now labeling Devin Haney as a runner. Right. So no interest in that fight. And to be honest with you, it looks like Ryan Garcia may need a couple of tune-ups, may need to get back into the rhythm of the sport and of the game. And the fight probably is not as attractive as it was before the whole entire situation between him and Rolly, now not carrying that same energy that it carried before. So Devin Haney is maybe left out in the cold, not having a dance partner with Ryan Garcia. Turki Alalshikh, you guys know, always trying to make the biggest and most exciting fights, puts this fight on the table now in front of Teofimo Lopez to say, listen, We're not going to do Jaron Boots Ennis possibly because Jaron Boots Ennis has his own agenda and his own narrative and his own things that he's trying to accomplish. But I want to put you in front of Devin Haney. Now, you know, if Turki Alalshikh's involved in it, there's going to be a lot of money involved in it. So either way, Teofimo Lopez gets an opportunity to become, well, listen, at the end of the day, the biggest opportunity that he gets is that he gets a chance to get a big payday, another big payday with Turki Alalshikh. Now, where would this fight happen between Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez if it were to happen? Devin Haney, has vacated his WBC title 140 pounds. His last fight competed at 144 pounds and has already stated very clearly to the boxing space through his father that his destination would be 147 pounds. This is the space where he's going to be competing at, and the 147-pound weight class division. Now, Teofimo Lopez at the same exact time has been looking to make a move to 147 pounds. He was going to challenge the big dog himself, the king of the division, some might say, in Jaron Boots Ennis. Naturally, you would think that Teofimo Lopez and Devin Haney would meet up in the welterweight division. Now, keep in mind, a fight between these two guys, there'd be no belt on the line. There'd be legacy. These guys are supposed to fight each other ever since 135 pounds. Who would have known that they would have met up in the 147-pound division? I think it'll also give Teofimo Lopez an opportunity to properly acclimate to the division, being that Devin Haney hasn't yet fought at 147 pounds and really is some people might say 140-pound or, at best a catch weight fighter. So Teo wouldn't be getting in a ring with the monster, with the Godzilla, the goon himself in Jaron Boots Ennis, and get an opportunity to acclimate to the division, not to mention collect a payday. And of course, Devin Haney would get an opportunity to be in front of a generational talent like Teofimo Lopez. This would help him cement his legacy a little bit more and let the world know that he's back in the game and that he's back in contention to be a champion and back to heading to the direction of unifying and being undisputed at some point. So it's going to be interesting to watch the way this develops. Turki Alalshikh seems very pressed to make this happen. Bill Haney has communicated that he's very interested in making this happen. The two gentlemen share a story. There's definitely some history there. Boxing fans or hardcore boxing fans will recall how Teofimo Lopez and Devin Haney were supposed to meet up at 135 pounds. We saw how that ended up developing. Teofimo moved up in weight. Devin Haney soon after followed him up in the weight class division where he also became a champion holding a WBC title, derailed a little bit in his 140-pound career by a loss to Ryan Garcia, and now pressing to make his return in the game in a great way, right? He's already made his return fighting Jose Ramirez, but the boxing space is not very impressed, has not been very impressed with the way he looked in that return. This fight here between him and Teofimo Lopez may be exactly what Devin Haney what Devin Haney needs to get back in the game in the right way and get his respect back in the space. I'm personally going to say that I'd love to see that fight, right? And in my personal opinion, probably the fight to make for both gentlemen, being that both of them don't have a dance partner. Both of them have worked out multiple fight deals with Turki Alalshikh, and both stand to make a lot of money. And, I'm sure the winner of that fight will get the pickings of anything they want at 147 pounds. So let's see how it develops, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Where does Teofimo Lopez go with this one? Does he end up in front of Devin Haney? Does that make more sense? Does he hold off, wait on Jaron Boots Ennis to figure it out with Brian Norman Jr. to see if that's going to be the option? What does he end up doing? And as far as Devin Haney as well, is this a good look for him? Where do you want to see Devin Haney at next? This seems like the fight that makes the most sense to me, but I'm dying to hear what you guys got to say. It's your boy Rain. Listen, once again, if this is your first time tapping in to my content, I'm going to invite you to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit your bell icon as well next to that subscribe button so you're getting the alerts when I'm dropping content like this. Guys, remember, we go live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, not this Thursday, obviously. Didn't go up today, had some things going on, but that's normally the schedule. And you catch us in the evening as well with Blue Blood Sports, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings. Let me know what you think in the comment section. It's your boy Claymore Rain. It's the ATP Combat Media Show. Guys, thanks for showing up. Thanks for showing out. And at this point, we out.